Let's learn how to get feedback from students through AccuTrack or AccuSQL. You do so through different surveys that we can display to students. There's also ways to collect information from tutors, and I'll discuss that in a future video. But I'll go ahead here and log in as an administrator. And then I'm going to click on Feedback Surveys and then Create Feedback Survey. Okay, so these are the survey questions that we can present to students. These are default survey questions. I'll show you custom surveys in a moment. But what we've got here is a question navigator over on the left, and you can see here's my question 1. I can click through my navigator and then add whatever questions I would like for each of these. Now further, I have an option here to show or not show. So you can see I'm showing questions 1 through 8. Question 9 and 10 I'm hiding by not showing them. Also, you can make a question required, so the student can't move on from the survey unless they answer the question if it's required. Now I pick the question and then I have answers. I think we include these with the software, but you can certainly delete those or edit them for whatever you want those answers to be. Now if I click here on Other Text, I can click on Header and then change the header information for the survey. I can click Instructions and change the instructions for the survey and whatever I'd like the label to be for the text box that's included with the survey. Okay, now this, if you look over here on the right, it says Activity Feedback Survey. This survey can be displayed to students when they select a particular activity in the center. So you can display it for some activities and not display it for others. If I click down here on Tutor Evaluation Survey, now this is a survey about the student's experience with the tutor, and then I can go through and edit or change any questions, make them required, show, not show, for my tutor survey. So this is the student's experience with the tutor. This is the student's experience either in the center or for that particular activity that they came in for. Okay, so now I'm going to click on Feedback Surveys Setup down here, and then I have rules about those surveys. The first one here, I can display the survey. Typically you do it after the student signs out, but if for some reason you wanted to do it sign in, you could, or hide it completely and the student would only take the survey through the student pad. Okay, now I'm going to click on Activity Feedback Options. This is the first survey that I talked about, and as you can see I have get feedback on these activities but not on these activities. So this means when a student signs in and picks anatomy and physiology, for example, they'll get the survey. If they come in for personal use of a computer or see a career coach, they will not get the survey. Okay, and then I have some rules here. I can say I don't want to show it on the first visit, or I do. After the first visit, I want to collect feedback every X number of visits thereafter for the student, or I can turn this off and say I only want to collect it between certain dates and I only want to show it once per student if I'd like. Okay, so that's the rules for how I display the activity feedback survey. I click on Tutor Feedback Survey, the second one I showed you, and I have rules about that as well. So don't show on first, collect every X number of visits thereafter, or just collect during a specific period of time, once per student. Okay, now this one would be only show the survey if the student signed in for an appointment and they made it on time to the appointment. Okay, so now I'll return to my sign-in screen, and we'll go ahead and sign in with the student ID. So here comes my student. Now I'm having them update their information. That's a different setting, and that looks good. So now my student is signing in for, let's say, anatomy and physiology. With, we'll say, Cindy Bright. So now Christy is signed in. Okay, Christy has her meeting with Cindy Bright, signs out, and gets the survey. So this is the tutor survey, and if I went through again, I would get the activity survey. And there it is. So see, these are required fields. Tutor survey was first, and here's activity survey. These are required fields, so if I click Done, it will tell me that I have to answer these survey questions. and I'm done, and now I'm signed out. Now, as with almost any information you collect in AccuTrack, you can run reports on the surveys. So feedback surveys, reports right here. And I have my activity, my first survey, the activity survey, or tutor survey reports. So here's comments, for example, on activities. And you can see it shows the activity and whatever comments were given. Activity ratings. Now, what I forgot to mention is you can put a weight on these answers as well. So, for example, strongly agree could be a 5, disagree could be a 1, but we're getting an average weight for each of the survey questions. Now, I don't have a lot here, but I can say, if the average is a 3, well, I know it's in between 5 and 1. Okay. Tutor evaluation comments, same kind of thing. So that's the tutor survey and the comments that were given for each of the various tutors. And ratings again. This one has a little more information. So my average score for the did tutor treat me with respect for Cindy Bright was a 4. Okay, now the other thing too, the profile fields, remember you can attach 10 profile fields to students to collect information about them, but now you can run a report looking at the tutor evaluation in conjunction with the student profile answers. So what I'm seeing here is for my various profile fields, classification, dean's list, ethnicity, gender, GPA, so you can have these whatever you'd like them to be, major, minor, program, etc. So I'm looking at my survey questions and then I'm correlating that with the profile field. So did tutor treat me with respect? 4 of the people who are graduate students agree with that, 6 that are juniors agree with that, 5 that are non-degree seeking, etc. Okay? All right. Now let's talk a little bit about custom surveys. And custom surveys enable you to create surveys that look more like a web form with radio buttons, check boxes, drop-down boxes. Also, the thing about custom surveys is you can present those in specific local labs. Now, I won't go into too much detail on that because I have a future video on using local labs. Okay, I'll click on custom surveys, and now I'm going to add a new survey. Now when I do so, you can see this is where I build the survey form. So I have one here. Here's my title. My instructions, and now I can put my questions in. So I have some over here I'll put in. Was the tutoring center helpful? That would be a yes-no kind of thing. I can make that required or not. I save the question. And now I add the answers for that question. And I can weight them as well. Okay, so there's my first question. I move on to the next one. How long did you have to wait? And I'll again make that radio buttons. Okay, so there's question 2, question 3, and finally I'll do one that has some check boxes. So I'll pick check boxes, save that, and then I'll put my answers in. Okay, so once I've built that, I can preview it along the way. So here's what my survey is going to look like. And I have a required one. Okay, so I'm now going to save that survey and exit. So now I have a survey out there. It's waiting for me to publish it. Okay, so to get the survey active, you need to publish it. So I'll close this. Then I'll click Publish Custom Surveys. Okay, now I'm going to click Add down here. Okay, once I do that, now this is maybe not super intuitive, but you'll see a little button here with 3 dots on it. So I have to click that button to go find the survey, click the survey, and then select and return that. Okay. Now once I've done that, then I can determine when this survey is valid. You can have different publications of your custom survey. So I could have one that goes from February 1st to the end of February, one that starts in March, goes through the end of March, and then I can run reports on just one publication or all publications of that same survey. Okay, but I'll make this one available. How about February 1st through the end of February? Now I determine who I want to present that to. I can present a survey just to students, I can present it just to tutors, or I could present it to a student group, and I can show you that in a second too. Further, I can present it at a particular local lab. So for example, if I had this math lab out there, I could create a custom survey that would only be displayed in the math lab. Therefore, I could ask questions specific to math and not the tutoring center overall. Okay, present it sign in, or unchecked means present it sign out. So I'll do sign in, how about to all my students? Okay, now if I wanted to, I could present it just to particular students as well. Okay, so I'll save that. And again, I could preview it if I wanted to. But now let's return to my sign-in screen and see what the survey would look like. Remember, I'm presenting it at sign-in. So there's the survey I just created. If I tried to submit it, it would tell me the answers required. And then I would go about my sign-in. Okay, back in as administrator, feedback surveys. Now I'm going to do custom survey reports here. And this one I only have one answer for, but let's look at one with some data in it. So I'll show report here. And this is showing me the report for my activity survey that I'd created. But as you can see, it's showing me, this was a different one, but how do I feel? And I've got percentages there with different colors showing those. Move on to the next one. So do I know who my success coach is, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the report that you would run based on that custom survey that you'd created. Okay, now my tutoring center survey here. If I ran that one, I'm not going to have much in it because, well, there you go. I have one answer because I just created the survey and one person answered it. Okay. Now I also have a show report with profiles here. So again, those profile fields, remember I had major, minor, GPA, I think whatever those were, I can contrast the profile fields for the student with the custom survey. So did I receive a success plan? One grad student said yes, one said no. For the juniors, one said yes, none said no. I continue across all of my different profile fields. Okay, so you can compare and contrast your profiles with your custom surveys. Okay, now the next thing I can do, any survey that I've created for my default lab, like in this case, I didn't say present in a specific local lab. Those are also available through Web Gateway portion of Accu2015 for online appointment scheduling and seminar registrations. Okay, so I'll go ahead and log into my Web Gateway here. And this is pointing to the same database that I'm using. Okay, so I'll go ahead and log in with a student ID and password. And because I presented that survey at sign-in, now Laura, in this case, is getting the survey. I click that survey, and now I'm delivering that same survey that I delivered through AccuSQL now through my Web Gateway module. I submit, and now Laura could do either her appointment scheduling or register for a seminar through Web Gateway. Okay, so that's how it works. Thank you.